Quentin Tarantino's ninth movie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, offers itself for a great deal of deconstruction. Tarantino is known for his unique voice and style when it comes to filmmaking, and this is no exception. The film is somewhat metafiction and tells a story in a fantasy version of Hollywood. It feels like the Hollywood that Tarantino witnessed growing up, observing it with wonder and intrigue. Whilst the film deals with some of the behind-the-scenes aspects of the Hollywood film industry, I feel that the movie acknowledges the unsung heroes of this industry and highlights that these people's efforts, no matter how great they are still ignored, and that is the stuntmen. In Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Leonardo DiCaprio plays an out-of-work actor named Rick Dalton, who is accompanied by his stunt double and friend Cliff Booth, played by Brad Pitt. The film presents Dalton as a has-been out-of-work actor, out of his depth in the new age of Hollywood. Whilst this film does go into depth about other meta aspects of filmmaking, the movie highlights the incompetence of the Hollywood star who gains the glory and the hard-working heroic stuntmen who don't get to bask in the glory of stardom. Despite being a washed-up actor doing guest starring roles in TV, Rick Dalton still has a life of luxury and is insecure about it. He has a house in the Hollywood Hills, even living next door to director Roman Polanski and actress Sharon Tate. It is revealed that Dalton has also lost his driving license through drink driving and uses his stuntman Cliff Booth as his driver. Booth certainly doesn't appear to resent Dalton in any way, but their lives are completely different. After leaving Dalton for the day and returning home, we see Booth lives in terrible conditions, living in a small trailer behind a drive-in movie theatre with his dog. His home is messy and the cupboards are bare. Despite the little he has, he doesn't complain. He is not as insecure as Dalton is. Booth is shown to be a highly competent fighter in the movie. He even takes on Bruce Lee and defeats him in a fight. This actually caused some controversy from Bruce Lee's family. Tarantino did defend this quite easily though.
I don't think I make Bruce Lee look that bad. I will admit I'm having a little bit of fun at his expense, all right? I will admit that. There's a touch of parody in there. However, at the same time, Bruce Lee was kind of an arrogant guy. I mean, what I was, the way he was talking is I didn't just make a lot of that up. I'd heard him say things like that to that effect. And even the thing, people are saying, well, he never said he could beat up Muhammad Ali. Yeah, he did, all right? Not only did he say that, his wife, Linda Lee, said that. In the first biography I ever read was Linda Lee's Bruce Lee, the Man Only I Knew. And she absolutely said it. And but the thing about it, though, is, could Cliff beat up Bruce Lee? Okay, Brad would not be able to beat up Bruce Lee, but Cliff maybe could, all right? If you ask me the question, it's like, okay, well, who would win in a fight, Bruce Lee or Dracula? It's the same question. It's a fictional character. If I say Cliff could beat Bruce Lee up, he's a fictional character, then he could beat Bruce Lee up.
Tarantino's comments are clear. This film is a fantasy. Cliff Booth is a fictitious character. This is a fairy tale. The film is called Once Upon a Time in Hollywood after all. But despite this, he still garnered criticism for the character's abilities. It highlights my analysis that Cliff Booth is an unsung hero. Bruce Lee is a big star and a great martial artist. Despite this, people got upset over the abilities of a fictitious stuntman being able to take him on. This does show the lack of respect for stuntmen in general. The action sequences in the movie aren't carried out by the Hollywood star, but by someone else, and despite the stuntmen putting their lives on the line to shoot action sequences, it isn't them who gets the glory, it's the actor. There is also a great deal in the film to make, or at least suggest, that Cliff Booth is not a good guy. He is said to have killed his wife, though it is ruled as an accident. Everyone on set judges him for this. He is even fired from the set despite Dalton's defense. This is a clear reference to the case involving Natalie Wood and Robert Wagner. This is a meta-reference to the real-life Hollywood story. It is also shown that Cliff Booth has a thing for younger women, despite his reluctance to engage with Margaret Qualley's Pussycat, who we find out is under the age of 18. He is perfectly happy to gaze at her, flirt with her, and even give her a lift in his car. In some ways, Booth is being vilified in the movie by the others around him, but I think this is more to do with the lack of consequences for bigger stars. Whereas Hollywood stars seem to get away with sleaze and debauchery, Someone not in the spotlight is held to a normal standard. We do see Booth risk his life during the film. When he attends the Spawn ranch, he believes something is wrong. The Manson family are taking advantage of George Spahn, the owner, who Cliff knows when he filmed westerns there a decade prior. The scene contains a great deal of tension, and what we know as the audience about the Manson family is that they were dangerous, but Booth proceeds anyway. He knows something is up, and we know he can handle himself. He is potentially in harm's way, but this is what he does as a stuntman when he works. Dalton would not be brave enough to do this. He is only an actor. He only pretends to be a hero. He isn't one. Another scene sticks out is when Booth fixes the antenna on Dalton's roof. The scene shows off the stuntman's skill. He climbs the roof like a ninja. In the scene, he is also shown shirtless and is in great shape. This is another way that highlights the stuntman's strength and skills. This is clearly something Dalton lacks in the movie. Booth is said to be a World War II hero and veteran, yet Dalton portrays one in the in-universe movie The 14 Fists of McCluskey, which is somewhat a homage to Tarantino's Inglourious Basterds. There's a scene with Dalton confused at how to use the flamethrower. He portrays this character as a competent war hero on the big screen, but in real life he is nothing compared to Cliff Booth. The next part I will be talking about the end of the movie, so major spoilers ahead. If you have yet to see the movie and don't want it spoilt for you, please leave now. In the final act of the movie, Dalton has a comeback in his career. He has gone to Europe to film spaghetti westerns, and this has made him relevant again. But despite his improved fortunes, he is cutting Booth loose. There's no animosity between the two friends, and they go out and celebrate, getting very drunk and returning to Dalton's home in the Hollywood Hills. As you may know, the fate of Sharon Tate, her unborn child, and her friends is a real horrific story. Charles Manson ordered his followers to go to the house Tate lived in and kill everyone inside in the most gruesome way possible. That is what happened in the real world, but this is once upon a time in Hollywood. Throughout the film, Dalton opposes the hippies of the 1960s and confronts the Manson family killers before they get a chance to murder Tate. He goes off at them aggressively and causes them to change their target. Dalton returns to his house and the Manson family decide to come for him. Dalton's actions caused him to be targeted instead, yet it isn't really Dalton, the Hollywood star, who needs to deal with the consequences of his own actions. This would be up to his stuntman Cliff Booth. It is Booth who risks his life for Dalton once again, just as he did on the film and television sets they both worked on. Booth dispatches the attackers in the most violent way and is even injured by taking a knife to the hip. In a callback to earlier, Dalton manages to dispatch one of the attackers with the flamethrower he kept from the set of 14 Fists of McCluskey. Despite this, she is already defeated and is not really a threat. In the aftermath, Dalton is certainly grateful for the protection from the assailants that Booth provided, yet Booth is sent off to hospital for his injury, and the police on the scene praise Dalton for dispatching the attacker with his iconic flamethrower. In the change of historical events, Dalton is invited to go hang out with Sharon Tate and her other guests, getting all the praise for somewhat saving them, and gets closer to what he considers Hollywood royalty. He wrongfully takes the credit for the heroic actions of Cliff Booth. But that is the nature of the actor. They get the praise, they get adored, not the stuntmen. Finally, to top it all off, Brad Pitt won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. Whilst I'm sure he was thrilled to have finally won an Academy Award, I don't think it is a coincidence that the character he plays, despite being equal lead to DiCaprio's Rick Dalton, Pitt was only in the Best Supporting Actor category. However, DiCaprio was nominated in the leading category, but did not win the Oscar this time round. This makes me think to the opening credits of the movie. The actors' names are on the opposite actor during the sequence. Maybe this is to somewhat highlight they are almost one and the same. In the contained universe of the story, both Dalton and Booth make up the characters they portray on screen. It is as much as Booth's work as it is Dalton's, yet it is Dalton who always gets the praise and the credit. I don't think Tarantino is openly criticising the lack of acclaim that those who do stunt work get in the industry. I believe he is pointing out that the fantasy we observe when watching these movies is made up of the work of many people, not just the actors.
Leo, I'll ride on your coattails any day, man. The view's fantastic. And to the rest of the cast and crew, Big Bad Bob Richardson, Robert Garcia, Richie, my man Mike Moe, Hey, I also want to say, while we're doing all this, I think it's time we give a little love to our stunt coordinators and our stunt crews.
So what do you think about Cliff Booth being the unsung hero of the movie? Is Tarantino commenting on the lack of acclaim that stunt people get in the industry? Let me know in the comments below. Please subscribe and click the bell icon if you haven't already, and thanks for tuning in.